Hello.
Hello, Nathan.
Lots of people.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, a pleasure. We are still missing 10 more people, so if you don't mind, let's wait until be on times just for
Yes.
Fantastic. But just to give you, I can anticipate you that we will be 42 people from 7 countries.
Great.
We have people from, of course, Australia, California, North America, and then South America. We have Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, and me from, well, I am Spanish, but living in Netherlands.
Yes.
So easy. It was not easy to connect everyone, but I think all of us, we are doing some efforts to get ready and to be here together, sharing good time and have fun for the next 90 minutes.
90 minutes. It sounds like a an adventure race Zoom meeting.
It's like 5 days of adventure race, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Coffee and mate for Nata, no?
Yeah. Everyone has to show the coffee or the mate. First of all, thank you very much, Nathan, for joining us, and also thank all of you for getting time and to be excited about sharing sometimes with Nathan and have all his experience and his stories around all his 25 years running around, more or less. So I will introduce myself. I am member of the ARWS Southamerica. I am responsible for marketing and sponsorship. And the team is composed by Alain, that you introduced after me, Nicolas David. And we are just friends that we have passion for this sport and for the sports industry in general. So we started this project a few months ago, and Alain, as the director, he will explain and go further on it. So Alain, I move to you. Introduce yourself, then Nico, and then we will invest 5 minutes each of us to present to Nathan. Okay?
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Nathan. You're our major guest for the evening, and well, it's morning in New Zealand, but still for us in South America it's evening. And mostly thanks to all our South American guests. We have some media here. We have people from the AR live coverage. We have people from PC Cam TV and also from Adventure Mag in Brazil. But mostly and most important for us, thank you to all our race managers, our 5 race managers that will be will take care of the regional circuits next year. 2021, we will have 4 qualifiers, and then the final will be in Chile, in Pucón. It will be called Vulcania, and it will be directed by Nelson Chañez. So I'll just leave the room for Nicolas to present himself, and then we'll present all of us. Nico.
Hi, Nathan. See you again. Nice to meet you. I'm working with the team as IT, social, and media. I help in this because I work in IT, and I'm an adventure racer too. And I love the sport, and I love your history, and you are one of the reference for me.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi Nathan. Good to see you, mate. Hey, surprised with your run with Marcel yesterday that you had no snow on Mount Arthur.
Oh yeah, no, we weren't quite on Mount Arthur. We just missed that. But there's a little bit of snow up there. But yeah, we're just a bit lower down.
Yeah, good to see you, mate. And we've got a bit of snow up here just the other day.
Cool.
Good to see you. Thanks for doing this. Looking forward to hearing about your stories.
Cool.
I'm the AR World Series head referee. So appreciate all your input to that side of things. Thanks.
Hi, Nathan. I am Fernando Tadeu from Brazil, organizer of Desafio Eco Trio, Brazilian State ARWS Southamerica.
Okay.
That's quite hard to hear.
Yes, we don't hear you very well, Fernando. But let me translate. Fernando, he is the organizer for Brazil.
Okay.
His race is Eco Trail Brazil. Now we move to Camila and Guy. You might know them for sure.
Hey Nathan, how are you?
Hello. Good, thank you. Good,
to
good.
see you, man. Looking forward for your interview. Thanks for sharing everything with us.
No worries. Cool, cool.
Miss you.
Christine, are you there? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm and my husband Douglas. We are adventure racers from Brazil, and we love this sport. And you are our inspiration in adventure race.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Gustavo from Brazil. I'm a runner and organize adventure races. And a big fan of you, Nathan. Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
I'm a runner for Brazil, the team outside, and organize the Desafio Trail. I'm glad to speak to you and listen to your interview. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Luis?
Hi, Nathan. I'm Luis Lingefeld from Brazil, member of Chicharro's team and also ARWS staff here in Brazil. It's a huge pleasure being here.
Thank you. Great.
I'm Arnaldo Maciel from Brazil and president of Brazilian Adventure Racing Confederation. Welcome.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Fantastic. So now we move to Chile.
My name is Nelson from Chile. I am the director of the Adventure Racing South American final and Patagonia Ride in Argentina.
Okay. Good.
Isara from Chile, an adventure racer and orientation lover too, like can you see.
Nice.
Hi Nathan and everyone. Nice to be here with all of you. I'm Andres from Chile. Of course I love adventure racing, and I think my whole life goes around my family, my job, and the races. Nice to meet you.
Nice. Good, good.
Hi Nathan and everybody. I am
Hello.
Diana Ramirez. I am runner and organizer of Desafío Andino, Adventure Racing Colombia, and I have my coffee, Colombian coffee for this virtual coffee ready.
I'm here from Colombia, PC12. Did you know already my race? Welcome here. We are so happy. Thank you, my friend.
Good. And Andres?
Hi, Nathan. I'm Andres from Colombia. I'm a member of the Skyrunners Adventure team. So I'm so excited to know you.
Great.
Hi, everyone. I'm here. Hi, Arantxa. Hi, Nathan. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Thank you for sharing with us all your experience. I'm Victoria from Ecuador. we're one of the youngest teams, and we learn all about the great teams like yours. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Managing between work, family, the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's there.
Yeah. Santiago.
Hello, Nathan. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you and good to see everybody, all this great group from South America. I'm really happy to see you here. And last time I saw you, I think it was in China, maybe with Vicky.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Good to see you all.
Baisha Bashira. I just said hello, friends, in Guarani. The other official language in Paraguay, like Maori, New Zealand. I'm Rodrigo Cubilla, manager of the Paraguayan race of the South American series. It is a pleasure to share this talk with you.
Nathan from Paraguay. As Rodrigo said, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. Captain of the hippie team from Paraguay and part of the Adventure Race Commission. And well, it's a pleasure, like Rodrigo said, to have you here with us. We're big fans of you. And hopefully we can have you here for the World Cup. World Championship.
A pleasure to meet you all. Hi, Nathan. Well, I'm Fernando from Paraguay. I've been racing for about 8 or 9 years now. I'm currently part of the commission that oversees the rules here for the adventure race in Paraguay. So yeah, happy to meet you all and definitely looking to learn new things. Thank you.
Everyone, I'm Felix from Paraguay. Nice to meet you, all of you, and you, Nathan. And I am an adventure racer too, for 5 years, I think. And it's an honor to me to stay here with all of you and to share our questions.
Right.
Luis.
Hi everyone, this is Luis and Alba. I am the former president of the Adventure Race Association here in Paraguay, and actually I am a member of the staff, and she too. We are so excited to hear all your stories of you, Nathan, of all of you guys, other question, and I want to learn of you in this meeting.
Nice.
Cool. We hope take you here in Paraguay in World Cup, World Champions.
Yeah, I hope so.
If Nathan goes to Paraguay, you have to invite him on a good asado.
Of course. Be my guest.
Nice. Hey, now we move to Uruguay. Luis.
Hi. My name is Luis Enrique. I'm from Uruguay, and I organize the Challenge of Champions, or Desafío de Campeones. My team is Chips Adventure, and my partners are David, Nicolas, and Alejandra. And the best asado is from Uruguay.
Hello, I'm Eduardo from Uruguay. I'm a racer too, almost a racer. I'm a newbie guy in this of adventure racers, and my team is Desnorteados, very famous here. And I'm a newbie in the organize the racer too.
Nice.
Hi Nathan, my name is Martin. I'm from Uruguay, South America. I'm member of the Los Picapiedras, in English, the Flintstones team. It's a great pleasure for me to join you in this virtual coffee, and looking forward to see all your stories, and the best mate is from Uruguay.
Hi all, I'm Sylvia from Uruguay. I've been an adventure racer I discovered this about 5 years ago, and I fell in love with it. And it's a real pleasure to be here today and share your experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Juan Martin?
Hello, Arancha. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nathan. My name is Juan Martin from Uruguay. It's a great pleasure, Nathan, to be here with you today. Thank you in advance for sharing your experiences with us. And I really look very much forward to hearing all of them. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Nathan. I'm Carlos from Uruguay. I am part of the Uruguayan Association of Adventure Racers. I also a runner, and I'm very happy to be with you, with all of you. And cheers.
Hi, Nathan. My name is Mario from Uruguay. The team Uruguay Expedition Rider. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
Good. Great. I think Milton, he's still late. He sent me a text message. So that's all. That's all the team. So if with no delay, let's put on mute all the microphones and let's start with the first question, which I will start it. We always say that when you are, it's harder to stay and maintain in the high level rather than to get to the first position. For you, that you have been 6 times world champion, and then you are for the last 25 years always in the top ranking. What are the next steps for your team in next year and also for the next 3 years, midterms?
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'll answer your question, but I'll just say a couple of things before I do. The first thing is I hope people can understand me. I'm sorry, I can only speak English, so I'll try and speak slow and be clear so that you can understand what I'm saying. It's a real pleasure to be speaking here to everyone, and it's humbling for me that so many people are actually interested in what I might have to say. So thank you. And I was more than willing to join this meeting and join this chat because I'm really passionate about the sport of adventure racing, and the more people that are interested in sharing information, I think is better. So yeah, I was no problem to make some time and talk to you all, and yeah, we can sort of learn from each other. As we go through the questions, obviously the questions are directed at me, but it's really important for me to say at the beginning that most of my answers and most of my views are as me as team captain representing our team. So the reason why I've managed to win 6 world championships now is that I've always had an amazing team that I've raced with. And obviously in this meeting, it's just me here today, but without those teammates, I wouldn't be in this position. And a lot about what I say is kind of the philosophies or the beliefs of our team. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of make that clear at the start that adventure racing is a team sport, and I'm just one member of a very successful team. So to answer your question about yeah, sort of what's next for the team and how do we sort of stay at the top level, it is a really good question, and I often think that and you mentioned that yourself, Arantxa, that sometimes it's quite easy, well, not easy, but often to win one race is one thing, but to win it again is another level. And I think that is true, looking back on my sporting career in adventure racing and then other sports that I've done, is that sometimes things just go really well and you can win a race, and whether it be mountain biking or orienteering or adventure racing, but to go back and win the race again is another level, I think. That's from my experience. And it hasn't always happened. Some of you will know our team's history more than others, but sure, we have won 6 world championships. In fact, Chris and Stu have won 7, but they haven't always been consecutive. They haven't been in a row. even though we have won quite a few in a row now, it took us quite a long time to be able to sort of repeat our sort of wins. And so we've lost many races and we've been beaten many times, and there's some races we haven't finished. So I think in many ways we are a normal team, but we've just managed to, I think, come up with a formula for racing now that's working very well for us. But I think one of the things that has sort of helped us to win multiple world championships, at least, or multiple wins in the World Series or wherever it is we're racing, is that there's a few things, but one of them is I feel in our team is we never get complacent. So whenever we go to a race, we never sort of think, oh, we're the world champions, no one can beat us, or we're the best team. We always go into every race treating it as a new event, and we don't rely on our history to get us through the race that's in front of us. So as a team, we always have a huge amount of respect for the other teams that we are racing against, and we always train to a point where we know that we can race to the best of our ability. So we train very, I wouldn't say we train very hard. I think probably a better word for training is that we're very smart about our training and very dedicated when it's important to get ready for a race. Then we go to the race and we're very respectful of all the other teams. And the other big thing, which I don't know how much people sort of realize or potentially even believe, but we have become very good at just focusing on our own race and not being distracted by other teams. And these are things that we have learnt from some of our more disappointing races where we've either been beaten or we have just failed to perform to a level that we aspire to. Or probably the biggest race that we learned a lot from was the World Championships in 2013 in Costa Rica, where our team didn't finish. And we went into that race as the current world champions. So as I'm sure you can appreciate, going into a race as world champions and then not finishing is kind of the ultimate fail. And that was a huge learning time for us. And when we spent a lot of time looking back on that race and being honest with ourselves about what we did wrong, we learned a lot of things. And it's actually been since that race that we have been unbeaten in the World Championship races. So yeah, I think you learn a lot from your mistakes, and that was certainly our case. We learned a huge amount from that race that has served us very well since. Yeah, is that? Oh, sorry. Then your other part of the question. Where to now? So we were planning on doing the World Series race in Malaysia this year. And we were hoping to, we're still hoping to race the world champs in Paraguay. But obviously, the world is in some sort of crisis right now. So whether the race happens, I don't know. Whether we're even allowed to leave New Zealand, I'm not sure. And if we are allowed to leave New Zealand, I don't know what the procedures will be for us returning. It may be very complicated for us to travel from New Zealand and travel home. So this year, I don't know. Probably the same as all of you, but certainly for next year, our team is really motivated to do some more racing and traveling to some amazing places around the world. We are doing the God's Own race in New Zealand next year, and then we'll just see what happens on the international calendar. And yeah, I think it goes without saying that, you know, for our team, our goal is to race to the best of our ability. Often that means that will be measured by whether we win or not, but it's not always the case. We have won races before that we didn't feel that satisfied because we didn't feel like we raced that well as a team. And we've done other races where we haven't won, but we felt like we raced amazingly as a team, and we've been quite satisfied. So going forward, it's always our goal of our team is to race hard and to race the best we can. We always hope we can win the races for us and for our sponsors and for our fans. But yeah, ultimately it's just about just getting out there and enjoying the adventure, really.
Mm-hmm. Nice, thank you.
You've been traveling around the world with adventure races. You've been to almost 50 countries around the world. And the other day we were trying to figure out with Craig Bancroft in a live session in Instagram, why is it that South Americans are so adventurous? And you've been to South America more than once. We were just asking, what is it that you like the most, or what is it the most rewarding experience that you had in South America?
Oh, yeah, so that's a tricky question to answer. I think, I mean, the continent of South America, it reminds me a lot of New Zealand, in that there's everything is there, from, you know, the beaches and coastline to the mountains, to volcanoes, to sort of the desert, to thick forest, to jungle. It's quite similar to New Zealand in many ways. Obviously, the culture in South America is much more diverse because there's so many different countries. And also the wildlife in South America is way more diverse than here in New Zealand. But, you know, I think of all the amazing places I have raced in South America, and they're all great for different reasons. You know, I think I've raced in Brazil 2 or 3 times, and in Ecuador, and obviously Costa Rica. I'm not sure where else. I think maybe Argentina once before as well. And yeah, they're incredible places. I think for the nature, I think one thing I love about racing in those races that I've done is that the races, to me, feel very, what's the word? They feel very pure and very sort of raw. I think the environment there allows itself for quite adventurous experiences. I mean, I think the best example of that would be the World Champs in Pantanal, where I feel like that was probably one of the most sort of remote places that I've ever raced in my life. And while it's great to go and race in many other countries, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're racing in, say, France, for example, I mean, it's a beautiful country and it's a wonderful place to race, but you're never far from civilization. Or you can be in the mountains and then you walk up to a lodge where you can buy, you know, a big meal and have a bed for the night, and you're never far from a road or a highway. But my experiences in South America and the countries I've raced in is a little similar to New Zealand, that the wilderness is very close by. And I think a combination of that and the culture and the wildlife, it just lends itself really well to adventure racing.
My question is about orientation, because you have two the best orientation, navigation, Chris and Lynch. What do you do when you have a conflict or a problem? Who take a decision to this way? How do you navigation? You have
Yeah, that's right. I think it's a good question, and you're right that both Stu and Chris are incredible navigators. I think in our team, Chris is still the best, and largely now because Chris has had so much more experience. So the amount of races that Chris has been the lead navigator for is probably more than anyone in the world, I think. And for that reason, Chris is our top choice in the team for navigation, and Stu will help Chris, but to be honest, it's very rare that Chris needs any help. Most of the time, Chris is fine. Sometimes Chris will ask us for our thoughts on decision making, and as a team, sometimes Chris and Stu may have a discussion. Sometimes I might be involved in that discussion. Sometimes the whole team, but it's usually more about route choice, like significant route choice. If it's just small navigation and route choice, Chris just manages that by himself, and the rest of the team just trust him to do his job. But sometimes if there's a very big decision to make, Chris will involve the whole team in the decision making, and we'll just discuss that. And we've always managed to come to an agreement very easily. It's never any conflict or problems around that.
Hey mate, you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, once again, all the world is looking for New Zealand. Hey, how do you do it? How do you get it done? Hey, my question is for you, man. Cause you are our reference, you are our inspiration, and I'm willing to know who are your inspiration, the people who brings inspiration for you inside the sport or outside sports.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question, Guy, and it's one I've thought about, quite a lot. And I think over my career, I've thought about that as well. And I think the short answers is, the first answer is that, the people that have influenced me the most or have been my, I guess my role models are the obvious ones. And first up, they would be my parents and my mother and father, but especially my father, who was a sportsman, a sportsperson himself. So he was always being very supportive and encouraging of myself and my brother and sister for all our sporting things. And then the second to that would be one of my grandfathers. He was also a sports person and taught me a lot about, I think, mainly about mental sort of toughness and sort of resilience. He was a very, very tough, very tough man. So he taught me some key things. When I was growing up, I was very fascinated by Muhammad Ali, because I liked his, obviously he was, the greatest boxer, one of the greatest fighters of all time. I personally am not a boxing fan, but I really admired his ambition and his confidence and his ability to kind of say things and then go and back it up. I thought that was pretty cool. And then I also really respected him for taking his sport and using that in other ways to influence people and communities for greater good. Within adventure racing, I think, when I got into adventure racing, and the first time was in 1999, so about 20 years ago. And I was very inspired by the the Kiwi adventure racers who had been racing for the 10 years before me. I had followed their progress as a young athlete, and I looked up to them, and I was amazed that they were, traveling around the world to these countries and doing these crazy adventures and winning these big competitions. And there was people like John Howard and Keith Murray and Anna Keeling and Kathy Lynch. There was a lot of adventure racers that came before me in New Zealand and before the period that we're in now. So I was inspired by them a lot. But I think though that when I think about, I wouldn't say now that I have idols as such, but I'm always learning from people, and those people can be anybody. I think whenever I sort of interact with people at whatever level, at whatever age, whatever culture, I just find interesting things about people that I really like, or there might just be a behavior or a way they answer a question, or maybe a belief they have, or something about them that I just go, yeah, I really like that. I like that kind of way of being or something. So I sort of think that while I don't have an idol, I think I'm just influenced by just the positive people that I just come in contact with, just in everyday life. And it could be anyone, and it may only just be from a short period of time, but I don't know, I think I just have a belief that everyone has something to give and offer, and yeah, just kind of just take what I can.
Yeah, that's very good, man.
Yeah. Cool.
Great. Nelson.
How many hours for week you and kilometer you training for discipline? This is the first one. The second one is about the navigation decision making. How the team manage their training when they are tired. So all the team, not just Chris. And the last one is this is more longer. So it's wait. I have to write. How do you see it has been the key to your success in the training that has allowed to you do in the top run for many years?
Okay. So training. So I think it's very difficult to explain the training, or I think the thing is that the training is so different for so many people. So the training, for example, some people would benefit if they did the training I did. They would probably have a big improvement in their racing. But for other people, if they did the training I did, they would probably find that they would be injured and tired and sick and not be able to handle the training load. So training is very, very personal to different people. So I can tell you how I train for an adventure race, but that won't necessarily mean that is the best for someone else or other people. So, but I can give you a general idea. The other thing is that even within our team, we all train quite differently. So what I do is very different to what Chris does, and that's different to what Stu does, which is different to what Sophie does. So the main thing for our team is that we trust each other to arrive at the race in physical condition to be able to win the race. So that's the only expectation that we have of each other, is to do whatever you need to do, whatever that is. And then, whether it be, yeah, it's not really, there's no other expectation on us. So for me, for training, I generally stay fit all year round. So I'm really training every week of the year. And a big part of that for me is just for my health and well-being. So just mental health, physical health. You know, I'm very aware that very soon I'm going to be 50 years old, and I need to go and train and exercise just to stay healthy. So what I mean by training every day, or not so much every day, but all the weeks during the year, is if I'm not training for a race and I'm just wanting to stay fit, that I will be aiming to do about 10 hours of exercise per week. And that can be running, biking, and kayaking. So it would be very rare for me to do any less than 10 hours per week. So what that normally means is that each day I will do 1 to 2 hours of exercise. And like today, for example, I've been running this morning for 1 hour, which is where I live. I live on a beach, and there's a very nice 1 hour run that where I get to run home along the beach. And it's a great way to start the day. And then what I'll normally do is work during the day. And then at some point in the afternoon, I'll just break up my work by going and doing another hour of exercise. So that's a pretty standard day for me. Sometimes I might just do one thing. I might just go mountain biking or cycling for maybe 2 hours. And that will just be a normal kind of week. Some of you will know more than others, but I also have 3 teenage children who are very active. So often in the weekends, we're away hiking, climbing, skiing, doing different things. So that's my normal kind of life training. When we get close to a race, like a big race, like a World Series race or World Championships, is I will start to get very focused on training for the 12 weeks before the race. So 12 weeks before, I'll start being more specific about my training, and I'll have a plan. And that'll normally mean that I'll increase the training to about 20 hours per week. And that will normally be 2 training sessions a day. So normally I would train, if I'm doing 20 hours a week, I'll train 6 days out of 7. And I'll nearly always try and do 2 disciplines per day. So biking, paddling, running, paddling, biking, whatever the combination is. So what that normally means is that, normal, because it changes quite a bit. But normally that means that I'll be training each discipline about 7 or 8 hours per week. So that, for me, I find that is a really good number to get fit and strong for each discipline, so each sport. So I'll be trying to kayak for 8 hours a week, 7 or 8 hours. I'm trying to run for 7 or 8 hours, and then I'll try and bike for 7 or 8 hours per week. And I'll do that for about 6 weeks. And then 6 weeks before the major competition, that's when I really focus on my training. And I will normally clear my work schedule or clear my diary so I can really make sure I get in the training sessions I need. And in the final 6 weeks before the race, I can, my training weeks can be up to more like 30 to 40 hours per week. But then I'll be doing much longer sessions. So I might be going for like maybe 10 or 12 hour trail run, hiking one day. I might do a 7 or 8 hour mountain bike ride one day. So the training sessions become much longer. And then I'll also start doing some more high intensity training so that I can just get faster, you know, for the sports. And that's pretty much, you know, a general sort of guide to sort of my training is I stay fit all year round. You know, 12 weeks from a race, I'll start to get a little bit more serious. The final 6 weeks before the race, I'll really focus on getting into condition, you know, for the race. And often in that final 6 weeks, I'll also be trying to condition myself for what I'm going to expect in the competition. So probably a really good example of that would be in Pantanal at the World Champs in 2016. You know, we were told by Shubi, the race director, that there would be a lot of kayaking and a lot of water in the race. So in the final 6 weeks before I was training for Brazil that year, I was doing a lot more paddling and water sport than I would normally do. So, you know, we as a team, we are always thinking about what can we expect in this race and how can we prepare for that, you know, the best we can. I know that when you asked the question, you asked about, you know, how many kilometers do we do in training? For me, I don't pay much attention to kilometers. I mainly train to time. So on my training program is always measured by time, never distance. So if my training program has me doing, say, a 3-hour trail run, then I just go and run 3 hours on any trail that I feel like. And sometimes that may mean I cover many kilometers, and sometimes, depending on the terrain, it may not be so much. So I always measure my training on time, not distance. So,
okay.
Does that answer that part of the question?
Yeah, I think that they answer a lot of the racers here in the meeting, because
Yes.
it's always like, what is the other team is doing for have a good condition and a good result in the racing, you know?
Sure. Yeah. And I think too that when I first started adventure racing 20 years ago, we would do a lot of training sessions that, you know, they were more like being in an adventure race. So, you know, we would do things like on a weekend, you know, we would go and do a very big training session where we go all night, and we might go for 30 or 40 hours, no sleep or very little sleep. And we would do things that, you know, that we would expect in a race. But after a few years of training like that, we decided that the problem with those training sessions were that we would go out in the weekend on Saturday and Sunday and do a massive big adventure. But then we would be so tired that for the rest of the week that followed, we couldn't do much. And we were just trying to recover all the time. So we started to realize that that once you start doing a few races, you don't really need to go and train for adventure racing so much. You just let the races be the conditioning for the racing, and in the training, it was more important just to be fit and strong and not get injured and not get fatigued too much and not get sick. So, so we don't do many big, crazy training missions like we used to. So sometimes as a team, we will get together and go and do a training weekend, but we make it a lot of fun, and we make it very comfortable. So we go and stay somewhere and enjoy a long sleep and take good food. Our belief is that we'll save the suffering for the competition, not in training. How do we train for the navigation? I think the training for that is largely, you know, you learn a lot every time you do a race with navigation. So I think training for race navigation is largely about just going out and doing it and learning. But within our team, we also take part in many navigation events. So myself and Chris and Stu, we often doing orienteering racing and also road gaining navigation events. So that you know, we do spend a lot of time practicing those skills, and luckily in New Zealand there's lots of opportunities to do those events. So we try and do that. And the last part of your question, I think, was the sleep and how do we navigate when you know, when people are tired in the race and sleep deprived. I think from experience now with our team is that we really don't get ourselves into a really sleep deprived state anymore. We used to. Many years ago when we were racing, we would all be very tired and make mistakes and start going slowly and inefficiently. But I think now as a team, you know, we've learned so much from our racing that that now when we start to feel ourselves getting tired and slowing down and maybe making mistakes, then we just stop. We just stop and sleep and take some rest, so that to make sure that we're always making you know, good decisions while we're racing.
You stay motivated to train and compete in high performance after so many years of your long career? And second, have you thought about stopping competing on high level and switching just for fun style? If so, as a coach, are you training someone to be the next huge phenomenon of adventure racing?
Yes, thank you. There's a few things in there. So the first one is how do I stay motivated? I think for me, I have always had, in my adult life at least, I've always been sort of very eager to spend a lot of time in nature. So for me, I'm very rarely struggle with motivation. I'm normally always motivated to go outside and just be active in the outdoors. And I think for me, a big part of that is about just living close to nature. I just love being in the mountains and in the forest and on the ocean and on rivers, and for that reason, I'm always trying to get outside and do things. So luckily, you know, I've never really struggled with motivation to train and be outside and do that. Sometimes I do though. Like sometimes it's hard. If I've been training really hard for a few weeks and you know my body can start to feel sore and tired, and you know the weather might be bad and then on that day I've got a training program, a training session planned. You know, sometimes I do struggle with motivation, but I just remind myself that in order to be worthy of racing in the team that I race in, that I have to make those efforts to get out there and do my bit and be committed to, you know, the training and getting ready for the race. And I also think that I think it's the times when you struggle with motivation that's most likely the time that makes the difference between perhaps winning or losing a race, or being in a top team and not being in a top team. So I think, you know, perhaps, you know, one way I look at it is that most people can do most of the training, but there's probably only a small percentage of the people that can do all of it. And that's probably what separates people from, you know, from winning the big events and not winning. So I often just, you know, if I am struggling with motivation and it doesn't happen often, then, you know, then I sort of think, well, this is probably what separates me from my competitors, or what separates our team from our competitors. You mentioned coaching in your question, and I do some coaching, and mainly with youth. And when I talk to young people about motivation, I talk to them about that, how that most people can do most of the training, but, you know, it's only a very special group that can do all of it. And I said, often it can just be a few days in your training program. And when I talk to the young people of New Zealand, I get them to call that, or what we term that day is Champions Day. So the day that you don't want to train, I say to them, that's when you say, this is Champions Day. This is the day that only the champions will train. And I think they find that quite motivating, and that's kind of my view on that. You asked me if I've tried to stop racing, or and the answer is yes, I have. I've tried 2 or 3 times to stop racing. Certainly at the level that I have been competing at. And there's been various reasons why I've tried to stop, a number of reasons, and mostly it's because of other things that are happening in my life, with either work or family, or I just want to change, do some things a bit differently. But I have always come back to doing more racing, and I've realized over the years that, you know, that what I miss is, the main thing I miss, you know, when I'm not racing, because, you know, I think a big part of adventure racing is the adventure, and obviously the race as part of a sporting competition, but also the travel. But I think, you know, I can do those things without having to be a racer. I mean, I can travel the world, I can go on adventures anywhere I want. And, you know, if I want to race, there's plenty of races on. But what I really miss when the times when I have stepped back from racing, I didn't do any racing in 2017. And one of the things I really miss is being part of a high performing team. And that's one of the things that keeps bringing me back to adventure racing, is that, you know, our top New Zealand adventure racing team, you know, with the core team being, you know, Chris and Stu and Sophie and some other people, you know, around us that sometimes join us for racing. It is a very, very high performing and a very, very high functioning team. and it's an amazing team to be part of. And I think for me, that's one thing that I really miss, and it's something that sort of motivates me to train and try and stay part of that team, because I've found it very difficult in normal sort of life to find a team that is that committed and that focused and willing to work so hard for each other. And I think that's the same for most adventure racing teams. I mean, most of you are probably thinking, yeah, I totally agree. That's why I like racing in the team that I race in. And that's what brings me back a lot is that connection to the team and being part of that team, and also like being part of that team when it's achieving. So, but on saying that, like I mentioned before, I'm 48 now, and I don't know how much longer I can continue to race in that team. Maybe one more year, maybe 2 years, I don't know. I'm definitely slowing down, and there'll come a point where the best thing for me to do for that team will be to step aside and let someone else kind of step in, someone younger and faster. So
you are still a teenager.
Well, Nathan, I have so many questions to ask you, but well, the organizers are very, very strict, so I will fulfill the orders, and I have so one question. I will go with a short one, an easy one, I think so. It's what was your happiest and your saddest moment in a race?
That'll be. I haven't thought about this so much before. I think that's a really good question. I think that to answer the easy one, the happiest time, I don't know if there's one sort of real standout kind of moment. I mean, there's so many amazing experiences that you have when you're adventure racing, and all of you will know this. That's why we're here together today. But I think the happiest times, there's just the special moments you share with the team, and often I think they're out on course, and they can just be such a range of things, like I remember in a race, I was racing once in Abu Dhabi, and we had run out of water, and we were mountain biking across the desert, and we were so dry. Look, I've only been that thirsty, I think, once or twice in my life, but it was an amazing experience to be so thirsty and not be able to do anything about it. And it was so hot that we had to keep our mouths closed, because if you open your mouth, it just got dried out so much that it just made everything worse. And then we biked along, and I just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a water bottle on the side of the road that someone had thrown out of a car. And I circled back on my bike and went back and picked it up. And it had maybe 2 liters of water still in it, but we didn't know if it was water. So we tested it. We thought maybe it could be fuel, but it turns out it was water. And that was a huge, a sort of jubilation for us. We were so happy to have found this water bottle on the side of the road that someone had thrown away. And we shared the water around, and we drank water, and it got us to the end of that stage. And looking back on that race, we all agreed that that was one of the things that helped us win that race, because all the other teams were very thirsty and dehydrated as well, but we actually managed to get some water, even though it was just luck. So we were very, very happy. But I think there's so many happy moments in the racing. I think, you know, often when you win a race, it's very, you know, it's very, you're obviously very happy because you've achieved your goal and you have, you know, you've finished the race. So you're just happy because you've finished. And I don't think I could ever rank my race wins in any order, not with any consistency. But I think if there was one race that I won in more recent times that always sort of comes to mind as quite a special win, and there's many of them, but it would the World Championships in France in 2012. You know, I often think back to that race because that was quite a turning point for our team in the last decade. And, you know, that was the first time we had won the World Champs for quite a number of years. But in that race, we also had to overcome many problems. Like a lot of our race wins in recent years have actually been pretty smooth. We haven't had too many issues to deal with. But in the World Champs in France in 2012, we had many things go wrong. And to overcome all those things and still win the race, you know, I just remember being very, very happy after that particular year. So, but they're all sort of special. The saddest times, you know, to be honest, I can't really think of anything, you know, off the top of my head. I mean, there's many times in the races that you suffer and you're not enjoying it. It's not fun. You know, you're not actually that happy, but that's just part of adventure racing. So I don't know, you just kind of suck it up and move on, I think.
The big question, and maybe you already respond this question, but I have to ask.
Yes.
Okay, in the scenario that the final World Championship will happen here in Paraguay this year, we know the COVID situation, but in the best scenario, what are the possibilities to have your team here? Because World Championship without you and your team is like a World Cup, soccer World Cup without Argentina or Brazil and Messi and whatever. So, what is your response?
Well, I mean, our team would love to be there. If the race is on and we are allowed to leave New Zealand, then I would say, you know, we would try our best to come to the race. We have a sponsor and we have the time available, so we can come. The problem for us will be if the race does go ahead and we are allowed to leave New Zealand, the problem for us will be what happens when we come back to New Zealand. And at the moment, for New Zealanders arriving in New Zealand right now, is they have to quarantine for 2 weeks in government control. And if in September the race does happen and we are allowed to come, if we have to quarantine for 2 weeks when we get back to New Zealand, I'm not sure if we will be able to. So that's the situation.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. We hope take care your team, and we're waiting with a barbecue, special barbecue for you.
Right.
The best meat of the world, by the way. Thank you.
Great, good.
Nathan, what advice would you give to a team that is going to a World Championships for the first time? And do you want to know Colombia?
I think the advice that I give teams going to any adventure race, whether it be World Series race or World Champs or any race, as I really believe that the best thing for teams to focus on, and it perhaps sounds a little bit strange, but I think the best thing that for teams to do is not treat it as a race. So I have helped a few New Zealand teams over the years, mainly in the God Zone race, and just from speaking to teams at races when I'm traveling around, you know, especially after a race when I'm talking to other teams, and I'll often ask them how their race went, and you know, are they happy or are they disappointed? What went well? What didn't work for them? You know, one thing that I often find is quite common with teams is that their team was going very well until they started to get you know, too involved in the race. So they started to focus too much on other teams, or they started to focus too much on placings. So, you know, they might be going, you know, I know many teams I've helped in New Zealand, they may have a goal of, say, you know, they want to finish God Zone, maybe top 20 or top 10. And so I say to them, don't worry about top 20 or top 10. Just focus on your team and focus on the course. And if your goal is realistic, if it's a realistic goal for your team to finish in the top 10 or top 20 or top 30, then that will just happen naturally by having a good race. So I really encourage teams to just focus on racing their own race and just doing the things that they can do well, and not being distracted by other teams. And I hear stories all the time about teams that start the race like that, but then at some point during the race they change, and then things start going bad. So they might start the race going, yes, we're just going to do our own thing, and we're just going to focus on our own team and doing good navigation and looking after ourselves well and pacing ourselves well. But then midway through the race, you know, they go, wow, we're actually coming 8th, and the team that is 7th is not far in front. So let's pick it up and let's try and catch those teams. Or they might have decided that they're going to sleep for maybe 5 hours at the transition area. Then they come into the transition area and they realize that, you know, there's a few teams closer than they thought. So they go, well, let's not sleep for 5 hours. Let's sleep for only 2 hours, and we'll chase those teams. And nearly always, those decisions end up not being the right ones. You know, they lose focus on what is best for their team, and they start being influenced too much by what the other teams are doing, and nearly always that doesn't work. And I think you know, our team has got very good now at just blocking out what the other teams are doing and just doing our own thing, because most of the time we don't know what the other teams have been doing. So we don't know how much they've slept, how much they've rested. We don't know, you know, how their teammates are feeling, whether they're feeling great, whether they're feeling weak. So the more we race, the more we realize that you know, the best thing that we can be doing is just treating the race as four people that make up a team, and our challenge is to get our team through the course as quickly as possible. And if we can do that, then chances are that, you know, we will be competitive. And I think that's the same for all teams. I think just treat the race as your team, just getting through the course, and just pace yourselves sensibly, and just really focus on the needs of the team, and don't worry about what else is going on around you. Just focus on your own team. And I think if you do that, most of the time you will achieve your goals.
Thank you.
Very great advice. Santiago from Ecuador.
Hey.
Hey, Ethan. Well, my question goes like this. Adventure sport currently does not have the necessary media coverage to drive its growth and the growth of the sponsors for teams and organizations. We've been struggling for this for a long time. And Craig knows that we've been working towards doing a lot of things for many decades. Do you lean towards more a race event model closer to Eco Challenge or the ARWS model?
Sorry, what was that? Just what's the last part of your question? Just say that again.
You know that the Eco Challenge brings a lot of money to the sport.
Yes.
So what do you think about the difference in the model between the Eco Challenge and the ARWS model? Do you think that the ARWS model should come a little bit closer to Eco Challenge model, or you don't think that that's a good idea?
No, I think I think that when you just sort of break down the event, you know, if you're comparing AR World Series to Eco Challenge, I think the model in terms of the race is essentially the same. You know, teams racing a number of stages, navigating different sports. You know, they're essentially the same. Like Eco Challenge could easily have been, you know, a World Series race, and it wouldn't have surprised me. And there's been many AR World Champs that could have been an Eco Challenge, and that would have seemed normal as well. Yeah, you're right. The big difference in the Eco Challenge is that they have major sponsorship. There's a lot of money behind that, and with that is the production and the media. You know, the television, the series, and things, which I think we're going to start to see pretty soon. That starting. I'm sure that. So on the Eco Challenge, I mean, I think Eco Challenge is great for adventure racing. Like, I think hopefully when Eco Challenge comes out in a few months, that millions of people are about to find out that adventure racing exists. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity for the whole sport to have a bigger audience. And I would hope that means more opportunity for the World Series and the World Championships. Like I'm sure, you know, all the AR World Series and World Champs promoters and people would value just having bigger budgets to run the events and to attract the teams and to, you know, build the media and marketing around the events. So I think, you know, I think Eco Challenge is going to be great just for the sport. I think just reaching out to a whole lot more people. But I don't think that all the races need to be doing that. You know, it'd be great. I think it'd be amazing if Eco Challenge can just inject a whole lot more energy and opportunities into the sport, and you know, just raise awareness for all the things that are happening within adventure racing. You know, but just I think in terms of having the big scale TV productions and the movies and all the hype the Eco Challenge will have, I personally don't think that needs to happen, you know, right throughout the whole World Series and World Champs. But I think that, you know, they're having more, I guess, more money in that series will be great, and hopefully that'll happen.
Hope so too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, hello.
Very nice to
Hey.
talk to you again.
Cool. Yes, yes.
My question is more about our learnings from adventure race, you know, because adventure race, I see this sport as an incredible tool to change people's life, you know, because it did change me. Once I start racing, I thought I want something, but then I realized that the sport could give me so much more to be a better person in life, you know. And I see that if more people knew that, because many people are lost, are doing many things, don't know our purpose in life, you know. So I think that if people could have access to some kind of adventure race, they would access this much easier and would, you know, be happier in life, you know. And what do you think about that? That's one question. And then as a word brand, because nowadays ARWS, it's our only, our biggest, and you know, beside Eco Challenge, that it's one event, but as a word brand, what could be done to attract these people, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a good question. I fully agree that you know, the adventure racing as a sport has a lot to offer people in communities, and I think you know, the key things with it is I think that it's very dynamic and exciting because it involves a number of different outdoor sports. It's also, I think, the fact that it's a team sport, but a small team is something that really makes adventure racing, or has, I think it has a lot to offer in that. Like I just look at some of the more traditional sports and you know, the bigger teams that have maybe 10, 11, you know, 15 people on a team. And you know, there's many challenges in getting a team of that size kind of organized and training and doing all this stuff. But with adventure racing, I think it's quite unique in that it's you still get all the benefits of being in a team, but it's a small team and the team has a lot of flexibility. Like, you don't have to train together as a team, but you can still race together as a team. You know, you can train together as part of a team, or there's lots of different things. I mean, I can only really speak, you know, from I guess from my experience in New Zealand. And I think in New Zealand, we're doing many things well, but it can still be better. And then I think the model in New Zealand is probably one that, you know, that I think could be adopted perhaps in other countries. But essentially in New Zealand, you know, what we have here is that we have, you know, a very good and very strong and developing adventure racing opportunities in the school system, in the secondary schools mainly. So there's an adventure racing national series for youth. There's two series actually, one for juniors and one for senior students. And then they have races throughout New Zealand. And then there's a national championships for the youth teams as well. So within our school systems, you know, we have a percentage of young people that are learning about adventure racing. They're in adventure racing teams. In many of the schools where adventure racing is quite big, it's very prestigious to be in the adventure racing team. It's often very cool to be an adventure racer. So there's some really good stuff happening at a youth level. The other level where things are happening really big is essentially what I have done in New Zealand with women's adventure racing. So we have, for 13 years now, as Camilla, you know, I've been running the Spring Challenge Women's Adventure Racing. And we've had thousands and thousands of women, like literally probably over 10,000 women adventure racing in New Zealand. And so, you know, we have a lot going on at youth level, and we have a lot happening for women in New Zealand racing. But the great thing about, you know, the women's events is that the women have a lot of influence over what happens in their families. So what we're starting to see in New Zealand is a lot of young people getting into adventure sport because their mother started adventure racing. And we're starting to see the effect of that sort of coming down slowly, but it is starting to happen. And then added to that, we have the God Zone race, which has been going for nearly 10 years, which again, you know, is an elite level expedition race. And that's very popular. That race sells out, I think, with 100 teams within minutes of entries opening. So I think in New Zealand we have, you know, it feels to me that adventure racing is very strong position with the youth, the women's racing, and then the God Zone at the elite level. And then I guess we've also got, you know, teams like ours, you know, racing internationally and sort of, you know, just adding something more to what's happening. But the real challenge for us in New Zealand, and this is something that we still haven't got happening, is that the New Zealand government, you know, in terms of the sport, still don't recognise adventure racing in New Zealand as an official sport. So at the moment, the sport is really being managed and grown by a number of race promoters and by some sort of organisations within the school systems, and then just some passionate individuals. So I think in New Zealand, the big challenge for us is to, at some point, and we have tried, but I think we have to try again, is to unite all the things that are happening in adventure racing in New Zealand and actually get our government to actually acknowledge the sport of adventure racing and then start to support us. And I think if once that starts happening around the world, then I think there'll be sort of more international recognition and unity. I think. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very nice way to do it, from example and from the base, you know, from when you were young, because it's so different when you learn from experience.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
thanks.
Yeah.
Wow. My question is something that normally happens to me and perhaps a couple of friends, runners friends. And then I saw some interviews and it wasn't only us, so I please ask you to tell me the truth. So they say that no matter what level of runner you are or how strong you are, when you're in a race, it is common to have some doubts if you're going to be able to cross the finish line. The head sometimes plays tricks on us. So I was wondering if, I hope you pass through the same sensation, and how do you manage that as a captain? And another short question is, what do you enjoy most about being a captain?
Okay. The first question, or the first part about having sort of doubts about whether we can finish, or for me now, and I think for our team, is we have done so many races now that we have no doubts that we are going to finish the race. So the only doubt that we have is really how long is it going to take us to finish. And I think, you know, after doing so many races, we just are confident now that we know what to expect. We know what's involved. We've trained for the race. So finishing the race is no problem. I mean, unless somebody gets injured really badly, obviously an accident. But that hasn't always been the case. When I first did my expedition race in 1999, you know, I stood on the start line and I had no idea how I was going to get to the finish. To me, it just seemed like this impossible challenge. And I just didn't know, you know, how I was going to do it. But what I kept telling myself is that adventure racing had been going for 10 years already, and hundreds of people had already finished adventure racing events. So I just said to myself, if all these other people can do it, then surely I can do it too. But to be honest, I did. But to be honest, I think for probably at least 5 years, I would always have the same doubts. I would think, even though I've already finished these races, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish this one. But, you know, I think as over time goes on and you mature and you do finish more races, then you just get confident that that's going to be fine. Sorry, I can't remember the second part of your question.
The other part was, what do you enjoy most about being a captain?
Yeah. What do I enjoy most about? I think it'll be fair to say that I'm mainly the team captain because I am the one who negotiates our team sponsorship. So, you know, that's really the main reason, I think. But I do enjoy it, and there's some parts of it I don't enjoy as well. But what I do enjoy is when the race, you know, probably just before the race and then during the race, you know, what I enjoy is the challenge of extracting the team's, you know, best possible performance. So, you know, looking at the team and all our strengths and thinking, how do we go as fast as we possibly can through this course, you know, based on what skills we have in the team, and then what are our weaknesses and how do we sort of minimize them. So I really enjoy the strategy of being the team captain, and really that is just facilitating the journey, I guess, you know, through the race course. So, you know, my leadership style is not, you know, me standing up and saying, follow me. It's a lot about having discussions with the teammates and getting their ideas and, you know, putting all those together and then making suggestions and then seeing what the team want to buy into, and, you know, I guess just making sure that whatever we do in a race, you know, we have the engagement and support from everybody, that everyone feels like, you know, they have ownership over the team sort of decisions. And then the other thing I really enjoy about being team captain is having some influence over the team culture. So about how we behave, about how we interact with the other teams, about how we present to the media, all those things about, you know, how is our team viewed? How are we perceived? I mean, I guess I enjoy that, that sort of level of maybe professionalism, or, you know, just setting sort of standards. And the final thing I'll say about team captaincy, what I enjoy is, again, it's culture related, but it's about making sure that, you know, that we enjoy the racing, that we have fun as a team, and that we're appreciative and grateful for the opportunities that you know, that the race organisers have gone to all this effort to put a race together for us to go and enjoy. So you know, for me as team captain is about, you know, I often think about all the bigger picture stuff, and yeah, I like to be able to be able to be part of that, and I enjoy that.
Thank you.
Well, my question, it goes through very much the same that Martin has just said. Well, first of all, great to hear that we're gonna have you here in Paraguay. Hopefully we can manage to send a team as well to Godstone next year. Well, the main question is, which was the toughest race you have ever raced as a captain, and why? And what do you think are the main qualities that a captain must have?
I think the toughest race as a captain, I don't know if there's probably one race that stands out. I think every race, when you're the team captain, presents different challenges, and often you know, often there are things when things are not going well. So in you know, like in Costa Rica, we had a lot of health problems, and we just didn't race well in a number of areas, and so that was very difficult as a team captain, just having the whole race kind of fall apart, really. So that was very challenging, but even since then, you know, I look back on all the previous World Championships and even Eco Challenge last year. You know, there's always things in races that don't go to plan, and as a team captain, the challenge really is how do you minimize the damage, and how do you quickly adapt and sort of get back on track, really. How do you adapt and adjust? And so I think how I do those things as a team captain, and how the team do these things, is, for me, you know, the biggest thing for me, or the quality as a team captain for me, is really composure. And that is about just keeping cool and calm and not getting emotional about things during the race, like staying very rational about things. And, you know, we have things that go wrong. In Paraguay, you know, Chris got stung by a stingray and got a big cut in his leg. In the World Champs in Tasmania in 2011, you know, we got a penalty for not having some mandatory gear. But added to that, Chris had a major mountain bike mechanical problem that cost us hours in that race. You know, and sometimes we'll make navigational choices that are not really mistakes, but we just take a risk and it doesn't pay off. You know, we may choose to take a trail that sort of goes, that we think is shorter, and then we discover that the trail is in fact completely overgrown, and you know, it's just much slower. So I think in event racing, there's always things that are not going to go to plan or go wrong. So for me as a captain, it's about how do you deal with those things quickly and efficiently, and actually just move on so you can get back in the race. And the thing I've learned is a lot of it is about composure, is about going, okay, this problem has happened. how are we going to fix this? Like, let's start talking about solutions. And I know it sounds simple, but I know from seeing other teams and talking to other teams that that doesn't always happen, that problems can happen during the race and teammates can start blaming each other, and you know, people can get negative and they can become unmotivated, and then some people just want to pull out, they want to quit. You know, things just start going wrong. In our team, when there's a problem, and there normally always is something, you know, we very much can sort of aspire to solution-based thinking. So while it might be someone's fault, we're not going to worry about it in the race. You know, like the race is not the time to remind someone that they've just made a mistake. You know, we can talk about that after the race over coffee and have a joke about it. But during the race, it's not the time to start kind of telling your teammates the things that they're doing bad. You know, you just want to move on. It's like, okay, you know, this has happened. We've lost some equipment, or we've broken something, or we've gone the wrong way. That's okay. Don't worry about it. How are we going to get back on track? How are we going to find some new equipment? How are we going to replace this equipment? How are we going to, you know, what's the best way to recover from this navigational error? And our team is very, very good at staying positive and fixing problems. Almost to the point where, you know, they don't even really become problems, because we've kind of fixed them before they've come that. And I think, to answer your question, I think the quality in the captain, which the teammates I think have as well, is just to stay very composed and stay very calm. And probably what helps there is just keeping things in perspective. Like, I think sometimes you have to remind yourself that it's just a sporting event. It's just a race. It's actually not that important on the grand scheme of, you know, world peace or world health. You know, we're just out here riding our bikes and doing some navigation. You know, it should be fun. And you know, and if we can't be appreciative of the opportunity that we have to travel the world and do the things we love, and you know, sometimes we might make mistakes, then I think if we can't keep that in perspective, then it's probably time to go and do something different.
Awesome, great to hear that.
Cool.
Great.
Okay, continue talking about you as a captain, Nathan. My question is, how did you choose the team? What did you see? The skills, the personality, the physical power for?
So how do I choose the team? I mean, our team is more of an evolution of one team, more so than a team that is selected. And I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what I mean by that. So at the World Champs in Spain in 2010, I was racing in an American team with Mike Closer, Monique Merrill, and Chris Vaughan, my teammate. So that year there was 2 Kiwis and 2 Americans, and it was an American team. Mike had the sponsor, and he asked Chris and I to join his team. Now, he asked Chris to join the team because Chris is an amazing navigator, and he's also very strong. And then Mike asked me to join the team because I was an experienced adventure racer. But so after that race, Chris and I started talking, and we decided that it'd be good to get a New Zealand team racing again on the world circuit, because it had been a few years. So Chris and I decided to form another New Zealand team. And so we just decided who we would ask. And at that time, we asked Sophie Hart, who is a female, if she wanted to join a New Zealand team. And then we also asked another racer that we knew, Marcel Hagener. And so that was the team that went to Tasmania in 2011 and did some other races. After the race in Tasmania, Marcel was going to go and focus more on racing in China and doing, he didn't really want to do as many expedition races. So then, so what happened then is that the three remaining teammates, who was myself, Chris, and Sophie, as a team, we decided who would be a good person to come and join us to make up the four. And really, our team has just evolved ever since then. So as one person leaves the team for whatever reason, maybe personal reasons, Sophie left the team for some years because she wanted to have children. People come and go, but as people leave, it's up to the rest of the remaining teammates to choose who will take that person's place. Now, we don't always just go and ask the fastest kind of person there is. In New Zealand, we're very lucky that there's many, many very, very good adventure racing athletes. So just to find someone that can go fast is easy. But what we look for is someone that is obviously skilled, who's got all the skills we require, someone that is fast enough to keep up with the team. But we also look for people a person that will fit into our team culture. And that's much about what I've talked about here today. And sometimes we will see an athlete that we think that person is a very, very good adventure racer, but we don't think they'll fit into our team culture as well. So we'll often go and ask the people that we think will fit in best. I'll give you a recent example. In the World Champs in 2018 in Reunion Island, our female racer at the time, she broke her ankle skiing 6 weeks before the race. So we had to find a new female. And we ended up racing with a woman, Fleur Pawsey. And at the time, and Fleur will admit this herself, is that she wasn't the fastest female in New Zealand at that time. But we felt that she would be the person that would fit into our team the best. And we asked her to come and race, and she did, and we won the race. So I think we made the right decision. So,
wow, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
My question is polemic. And what do you think about what do you think about doping in adventure race? What do you think?
So just repeat the question one more time, please.
What do you think about doping in adventure race?
Doping.
Yeah, about doping. Yeah.
I thought you said stopping, about me stopping.
Doping. Yeah.
Doping in adventure racing. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't support drugs in sport. For me, I've never felt that there's been any doping in the racing that I've done. Like I've never seen anything or felt anything to make me think that the teams I'm racing against are doping. I mean, I hope that's the case. I mean, I guess we never know what people are doing, but my belief is that at the moment, adventure racing is a clean sport. And my hope is that it's because the type of people that are attracted to adventure racing come to the sport because they love nature, they love being part of a team, they love exploring amazing places, and that they're very conscious about their health, and that they wouldn't want to kind of risk their health, you know, for a sporting competition. I wonder sometimes if, because there's not really any money in the sport to be made, nothing significant, that if that has kept the sport clean, and that maybe if there was lots and lots of money, prize money and things, maybe that would change, but I would hope not. Yeah, certainly from my experience, I've never felt that I've been racing against people that are doping.
That's great. I am the last one, I think so.
Oh, good. Hey.
Yeah, hey, Nathan, my friends. Okay, let's go to sleep here in Colombia. So there is the last question. It's very easy. A lot of people think that all the big teams, like your teams and the Colombia Vidaray and the other teams, run so many big races a year, 3 or 4 days races, expedition races. How many expedition races did you run a year? 3 expedition, 4. How many?
Yeah, it varies. It varies. For me, in the last kind of decade, our team is typically doing 3 races per year. So most of the time, we've been trying to do 2 World Series races and a World Championship. So that's really been our goal, is to do three races per year. But some years we've only done 2. You know, since Godzone stopped being a World Series race, you know, we've sort of just gone back to mainly just doing 1 World Series race a year, plus the World Champs. So we're just doing 2 races. And that works well for me because, you know, racing is just one of the things that I do, you know, in life. I mean, it used to be a lot more. So when I was professional, back from about 2002 to 2005, for about 4 or 5 years, I was racing professionally for Seagate. We were doing sometimes 5 or even 6 races per year, and that was okay then, but I wouldn't enjoy that now. So for me right now, I'm happy with 1 or 2 races per year. It means that the races are fun and exciting, and I can make my life work by doing that. Just one or 2 races. I think physically, you know, your body can do. I think you can do maybe 4 races per year and do really well if you wanted to. But for me now, you know, I think maximum of 3. That would be the maximum.
Maybe I can add something here that you can add to your calendar a regional race, which is for you just a training for.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's
great.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Is, you know, when I say, you know, for me, 1 or 2 races per year, I'm meaning major expedition races. Yeah. Whereas I think the more races you can do, like small races, the better. And so my philosophy on racing is, if there's a race on that you can get to, then be on the start line. And you know, through summer, sometimes I would be racing 2 or 3 times per week, but just in small local racing. So we have kayak racing, mountain bike racing, orienteering racing, trail running races. I mean, I think to be a good racer, the more races you can do, the better. So when I'm coaching athletes in New Zealand, I mean, I have them racing all the time, just in small local club, you know, regional events. Not always event racing, often just single discipline. just a kayak race or a cycling race or something. But I think to be good at racing, you need to do a lot of racing, and it all helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in the habit. I know, and I think that the regional series can play a really cool role on that. It can be the perfect race for the beginners, and it can be the perfect race as a trainer for the senior teams that wants to go to expeditions race.
That's right. Yes.
We have a role with the regional series. Hey, it's almost two hours. We really thank you for your time. I think you have done now the final world championship with this time on technology and connecting through the computers. Personally, as a whole adventure World Series in South America, we really want to thank you for your time. Thank you all of you for being connected, for respecting the time, the mute, and the order of the questions, etc. I know we have 20 more questions here, but we don't want really to take more time. So thank you very much. I hope that we can get some other moment and another session with you. Maybe in Instagram, if Sunday you have Instagram, it's only 1 hour. Instagram catch you in 1 hour. So that's a good thing in Instagram. So, well, thank you very much. We wait for you. You can be informed in our Instagram and Facebook for all the activations that we are doing. And again, thanks a lot for your time and for all your experience that we have learned a lot during this session. It has been a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you. That's good.
Bye-bye, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care.
See you in Paraguay soon.
Yeah.